Hello everyone, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and I hope you're staying warm outside my window. It is 16 degrees with a real feel of 10 degrees, so I hope you're staying warm because I know I am. And today I'm going to be doing my January TBR. So for this year on Goodreads, I set my goal of doing 52 books. 52 books. That's something that I haven't attempted before in recent memory. So this is going to be really interesting to see if I can actually hit that goal before the end of the year. So the way that I set up my TBR for the year is that I'll be reading one fiction book, one nonfiction book, one graphic novel or a volume of a comic book series, and depending on the month, weeks 4 or 5, I will be reading whatever I want from the first 3 categories. On top of that, I will also be reading what I have quarterly reads. Now these are books that I will be reading over 3 months, and that's because they're either really long or the subject matter will prevent me from reading them along with the other reads that I have for one particular month. So I'll be doing that along with my TBRs. So let's go ahead and jump right into what I'm going to read for January, and also what my first quarterly read is going to be. I can't say quarterly for some reason. My first book on my list for this month is Punishment by Scott J. Holliday. Now I have this as a ebook, so that's why I'm not showing the physical copy here. But this book is about a detective in Detroit who is trying to stop a serial killer who has been leaving clues for the detectives, encouraging them to come get him. Now, the way that the police try to solve the crime is that they have a machine that they can use, which when they hook it up to the victim and the detective can actually view and experience the memories of his victims. And he experiences everything, the pain, the fear, and actually the feeling when they die as well of the victims. So, I mean, if I was a detective and they had a machine like this at a police department I was working at, I would not be the detective doing that because I don't even want to experience my death, even less someone else's. So this looks to be a really interesting read, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the police detective, the main character, is affected by experiencing the death and the last moments of these victims. The second book that I'll be reading this month, The Storm Before the Storm, The Beginning of the End of the Roman Republic by Mike Duncan. Now this book details what happened in the generation before the rise of Julius Caesar and how the political and social upheavals in that generation led to Julius Caesar being able to take control of Rome in the next. Mike Duncan is a podcaster. He's one of my favorite podcasters, and he does a great job of making history engaging and not a boring affair, and I hope he does the same in this book. Now for my comic book series volume of the month, I'm going to be reading Royal City, Volume 1, Next of Kin. Now I don't own the collected version, the collected volume myself, but I do own the single issues that make up that first volume, and that is what I'll be reading this January. So basically, Royal City is about a family that has to come to grips with the fact that their dad has been hospitalized after having a heart attack, and also with the decisions that they have made in their lives, all the while being haunted by the youngest brother in the family who died years ago. Now, the cool thing about the single issues is that each member of the family sees the brother who died differently. So this brother sees him as a teenager, this brother sees him as like an older drinking buddy, the sister sees him as a little kid, his mother sees him as a priest, and his dad sees him as a literal ghost. Now I'm not exactly sure what each of those things mean. This could be that, you know, they see him as they wanted him to be in life, but I really look forward to delving into this. The author Jeff Lemire also does the artwork, and I heard that his stuff is really good, so I can't wait to sink my claws into this. Okay, so maybe not claws, sink my claws into it, but because I don't have claws, but you get what I mean. And also this comic deals with ghosts and ghost readers. So the next book that I'll be reading this month is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. This book is a book of collected poems that is about, from what I've heard, pain and trauma. I picked up this book because it was free at the time that I got it, and so I don't know that much about it, but it's poetry. I thought I'd read something that was outside of my comfort zone, and so I'm going to give this a try, and I hope that it's going to be a good read. And last but not least, the final book on my TBR for this month is The Demon in the Trees by Ben Sanders. This book is about a young detective who's in a small Maine town. The district attorney's daughter goes missing, and as he begins to investigate, he begins to uncover clues to secrets about terrible things going on in the town, and the cause of those terrible things may be something supernatural. So this book is by a fellow booktuber here on YouTube, Ben Sanders. I will link his channel below, and also provide a link to his book and also the other books that I mentioned previously for this TBR. So that's it for my January TBR. Now for the book that I'm going to be reading this quarter, and that book is going to be The Fortunes of Africa, a 5,000-year history of wealth, greed, and endeavor. So this book is by Martin Meredith, and this book, I bought it because I want to get to know more about the continent of Africa. It's one part of my knowledge of history that I have very little knowledge of, so I want to change that this year, and I'll be reading this book. This book is over 600 pages long, and that's why I'm going to be reading it over the quarter. And I also wanted to kind of take my time with this book too, and really take in all the information inside it. And it also is reading this because it also coincides with Black History Month, which is next month. And that's it for me today. That's what I'll be reading in the month of January. And I've already actually read 2 of these books. So if you think you know which 2 those are, please comment below which books you think those are. And also comment what books you'll be reading this month. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. Keep warm and keep reading.